looked at the recent anime figure event, Good Smile Fest 2026, if there was one thing I was a bit unhappy about, it was that most of the figures that I want went to this company, GSAS, because they rarely get their stuff right. Hi and welcome back to the channel. I'm Steven from X Kurogane Studio. Today with a Nikke scaled figure review, and this one right here is by Good Smile Arts Shanghai again. Yes, they rarely get their stuff right. It is like they are almost there, 90% there, but that remaining 10%, they just had to screw up something. They're fairly minor, but they are still there, and I need to point that out. It is no different with this figure. She is almost perfect except for just one thing. Just one. So what we are looking at over here is Good Smile Arts Shanghai 1/7 scale Blanc White Rabbit from Goddess of Victory Nikke. Official price in Japanese yen, that would be 22,909 Japanese yen, almost 23,000 yen before Japanese taxes or shipping. The official price in China is almost 1,100 Chinese yuan. So if you do the conversions, that is roughly the same as the Japanese yen price tag. This time around, regardless of whether you buy this figure from Japan or from China, there is no pricing advantage. But when you do get her from China, there is the advantage of having access to the proxy service Superbuy. Superbuy is a proxy service where, for those of you who can't communicate well in Chinese but you want to buy figures or other merchandise from Taobao, you can make use of Superbuy to buy from multiple different sellers and then ship it to the warehouse over at Superbuy, where you can combine ship and forward it to you in your country, where you save on shipping cost. So if you want to make sure you get stuff nicely without any damage, like the Hobby Sakura Nikke figure that I reviewed last week, she arrived perfectly, and that was with Superbuy. Then you should check out this service. If you have not signed up for one, please do make use of my links down in the description below to sign up for an account today. And from time to time, they will have offers. They'll run promos, discounts, and so on. Don't forget to follow the subreddit r/Superbuy to get more deals over there. So thanks a lot to Superbuy for sponsoring today's figure review, and let's get back to where I left off. Release date was 6th of February 2026, a few months ago, but still a rather new, a rather fresh figure. And I've seen a few people who bought this figure and they were relatively happy with it. Yeah. So with the dimensions of this figure, I have done my measurements in advance as usual, including the base all the way to the top of these gold color horns over here, 25.5 centimeters. But if we are talking about the head height, not including the base, that is closer to 24 cm, which is exactly what Good Smile quoted. Meanwhile, for the quality of the materials over here, I would say pretty good. Pretty tough, in fact. Thick materials all around and not too easy to dent. I can't complain too much. For a figure costing 23k, this is a very good quality box. But if there is one small complaint, that would be this is a non-windowed box. I prefer windowed box if possible, but some people will say that if you have a window in front, that would be compromising the integrity of the box. The box is easier to damage, which is true, but you know, it is nice to be able to see what the item inside a box looks like when you're shopping for figures in a physical store, in a brick and mortar store, right? So this is mostly personal opinion, I guess, but there was a reason why people were pretty mad when Good Smile tried changing their Nandroid packaging back then to a non-windowed one and smaller, and people were very unhappy about it. Yeah. Also, on this box, there is a shiny hologram sticker here from Shift Up Corporation. Definitely genuine. So with this box, I can still give it an 8 out of 10. Not much issues around. And as for the sculpt of this figure, we are looking at a figure which I would classify as a mid-tier scale figure. You know, with premium scale figures, there are 4 main categories in my opinion. There are the entry-level ones, usually below 20,000 yen, below 18,000 yen. And then there is the mid-tier ones, which are the most common, those between 20 to 27, 28, maybe even 30,000 yen. And anything above 30,000 yen to around 40k plus. Those are higher tier, and the really premium ones can go way beyond 45 or 50,000 yen. So I love figures that are in this mid-tier category of between 20 to 30,000 yen because they offer adequate amount of details. The quality in general is decent, yet the pricing isn't too crazy. So with this figure, the sculpt is mostly excellent. The detail levels are what you normally see in a mid-tier figure. Not too detailed, but not bad either. This is a solid 7.5 out of 10 for sculpt overall, including the entire figure. But for the face, I can easily give it an 8.5 or even a 9 out of 10. I shouldn't be so stingy with my scoring. Yes, the faces are 9 out of 10 regardless of which one you choose. The standard face expression or the slightly drunk face expression where there is a blush on her face. I think both of her face plates look amazing no matter which one you go for. They look exactly like Blanc, and most importantly, they look identical to the official product pictures. But in general, this company, Good Smile Company, and also their subsidiaries, they rarely have problems with anime figure faces in general. So this is to be expected. She met my expectations, but she did not surpass my expectations. Meanwhile, for the paint work, we're talking about Good Smile Arts Shanghai here. Can't be perfect. It is mostly good, right? But let me share the small flaw that I found on this figure, at least in my copy. It is this one single flaw that prevented this figure from being something perfect. And there is this slight scratch in front of her left thigh over here. I almost missed it when I was inspecting this figure before a review. And the more I shone this figure under my light sources, my studio light over here, then I was starting to notice this line, this scratch in front, right dead center of her left thigh, her left leg. And I can no longer unsee it anymore. Nowadays, if I look at this figure, somehow I keep getting drawn to this tiny scratch that is around 1 to 2 millimeters long, not really obvious unless you look at it under direct light source. But I keep noticing it because I already noticed it. There's no way of unseeing it anymore. And this is a pretty deep scarf, a pretty deep scratch, which means the scratch occurred during the molding or the sculpting process, not sculpting, more like molding process, straight out from the molding machine or the cast. There was already a scratch over there, and maybe they did not notice it. They missed that scratch, When plastic comes out from the molding machine, it is a white or light gray color. Sometimes you miss certain details, and they just painted over it. Normally, when you do primer layer, the dark gray primer layer, you are going to see any imperfections on the figure, and that is when you'll sand the part off and do some repairs with putty, but somehow they overlooked it or they considered it to be a small issue, still within their quality control expectations, within the threshold that is acceptable. They painted over it. So this is the kind of damage where you can't do anything at all unless you actually repaint the whole thing, and that includes the primer layer, right? Fortunately for me though, that scratch over there is the only flaw I could find on this copy of this Blanc figure. Nothing else significant, and I will try my best to unsee that scratch from now on. Not sure if I'm able to. Meanwhile, for the rest of the paintwork, I'm very happy to see there is adequate weathering and shading. Even in the black color areas, which some figure companies, they cut corners, they just paint it plain black, because how do you shade black color, right? You can't. Just different shades of gray actually. So adequate shading on her outfit, on the hair as well. The hair is the most obvious, and the gold color areas are very nice to look at. Those are my favorite parts. As for the outfit over here in front, these gold color designs, yep, they are not painted, they are decals, very obvious. And when you touch it with your bare fingers over here, you can still feel there is a separate layer on top. You can feel a different texture. It is definitely decals, and that is fine, as long they are applied perfectly. In fact, decals could be better than cheap gold paint, which may fade over time, right? So, other than that scratch earlier, there are no paint transfer, no paint scratches, no paint bleeding. everything looks good over here, but at the same time, this is a fairly simple character. If you remove all these decals, you imagine the figure without the decals, this would be a very plain figure in terms of character design. Detail levels are not very high. So with the kind of detail level and quality I'm getting here, including that scratch over there, I can give her a score of 7.5 out of 10 maximum. Without that scratch, 8 out of 10. Speaking of the base over here, the thing that I really like about this base is that it is matte finish. It is not shiny, not glossy, does not feel like cheap plastic. In fact, it feels rather high quality. We get this wood texture over here, which is probably decal work underneath, right? But very nicely done. The surface finish is very nice to the touch. Yeah. But if there is one problem, it is how hollow and lightweight this figure is. If you shake the figure, she does wobble a bit, but not too badly, despite only one foot being plugged into the base, two metal rods inside. This would be a maximum of 8 out of 10 for stability, for something that is standing on one single leg, but that is only accounting for the stability when the figure is shaken. But if I were to knock over the figure, as you can see, this figure is so easy to knock over, and there is a risk of these two small gold color pieces on top of her head breaking if you do knock over the figure, because the base is way too lightweight, way too hollow, and the figure feels top heavy. After all, the legs are rather slender, most of the weight is up here, so it is very easy to bump her over and risk breaking something. So for that reason, I am going to knock 1 point off the stability. This is 7 out of 10, not 8. But for the base itself, not accounting for the stability of the figure, I can give the base, well, 8 out of 10. Good design over there, right? I won't complain about not having a diorama base this time around, because the design of this base is actually compatible with the character design, so it is quite nice. Just that this could have been even better if they make the base thicker and heavier. Yeah. So as a conclusion for today's figure review, can I recommend this Blanc figure? Yes, kind of. If you can get a small discount under 20,000 yen, that's even better. But Blanc and Noah as well are fairly popular. I'm not sure if that will happen. Over in Japan, the prices have remained stable so far, between 23 to 25,000 yen, including Japanese tax, not going up, not going down either in pricing. In China, the prices are also mostly stable, staying between 1 to 2,000 yen cheaper compared to the official pricing. If you like what you're looking at, feel free to purchase it, but don't forget the fact that the QC of this brand is not 100% perfect. I've reviewed their Modernia. She had small issues. I have reviewed their Anis. She had small issues as well. And it was only Rapi, which came out further back last year, which turned out to be almost perfect. I think Rapi was the only good one, the swimsuit version. Every other Nikke figure they made had small issues. At least that is based on my experience. So if you don't like this pair of Blanc and Noah figures, then there are other options coming soon from other brands. Just to wait for those. Right? There are too many options with this pair of characters. So until then, I hope that you found this review to be helpful or informative. If it is, please give this video a like, and do not forget to subscribe to this channel if you like anime figure stuff. Until then, thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you soon in a few days. Goodbye.